Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Legacy Leaders. Scott McMeans. Today, I'm joined by Frank Agin from AMSpirit. Lots to talk about. He's got a hell of a background with a lot of different experiences. So I'm going to turn the microphone and the camera over to him so he can introduce himself and tell us all about what he does and how well he does it. So, Frank, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I can tell you about what I do, how well I do it. I'll leave other people be the judge of that. Yeah, Frank Agin run an organization called AMSpirit Business Connections. So let me give you a quick backstory on myself. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I moved here 40 some years ago to go to law school. I have a law degree and MBA. Started my career in public accounting as a tax consultant, which was a great job, great pay, great everything if you want to do taxes. And I didn't want to do taxes for my entire career. So I left and went into private practice. And when I got into private practice, I struggled to get clients, like many of us do in business. Somebody suggested that I join a tips club or a leads group. And I really didn't know what they were talking about, but I was quasi desperate. There was an organization out of Pittsburgh that was starting chapters of their organization here. I got involved. It made total sense to me that you could lift your whole world up helping other people. I had an opportunity to buy it going back 20 some years ago, 25 years ago. I guess I've been involved since 95 in one form or another.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so I did stop practice law. And what we do is we put together groups of entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals. They meet each week to go through a structured process that is designed to create referrals, empower people giving referrals back and forth to one another. So
Okay.
that's essentially it.
So it's a networking group on steroids because I'm assuming it's not like a BNI or a chamber event. It's something different. So explain, if you would, the differences in the value of what you're doing versus what somebody would think about a networking event.
Yeah, we are probably more closely aligned with BNI than we are Chambers. I mean, BNI is a great organization. Our structure is very similar to theirs, meeting every week, one per category. And I really don't know enough about BNI other than that to really talk to that. Chambers have meetings that are gatherings, or they'll have
Mhm.
chamber after hours where people will come together, and that's truly just a networking event. Um, we're more of a what you might term a structured networking organization or referral-based networking organization. And what I mean is they come together, there's the meeting starts, it goes through an agenda, and it's just everything we do is geared towards helping people identify referrals for one another, building relationships and identifying referrals. BNI does a fair amount of that as well. So again, I can't speak to I can't speak to a lot of the differences because I've never been in BNI. But
Doesn't make sense for you to be in BNI.
yeah,
So you've been doing this now for how long? Yeah, I just want to get the timeline together. You left private practice and started this how long ago?
I left. I left tax consulting, public accounting in '95. January of '95, I
Yeah.
started in private practice, and I got involved 4 weeks later in the
Oh, wow.
organization. So it's a long time. Yeah,
So
30
30
years.
years. And if you had to throw a dart at a bunch of numbers, how many people have you believe or do you believe have been connected or worked within the organization over those 30 years?
How many? You kind of cut out there. How many people have I helped or been in the
Yeah,
organization?
I'm curious of the 30 years, how many people have gone through the
Oh,
program and kind of worked with you?
yeah. Our database is 12,000. I mean, there's just a
Wow.
lot of people. Yeah, I mean, there's hundreds involved now. But I, I tell people it's not for everyone and it's not forever. People come in and they graduate. Is how I look at it. Some people fall out; it doesn't work for them, or they don't work it how it's supposed to. But I have people who have done really well through it and gotten promotions and don't need it anymore. In fact, there's a guy who
Sure.
sits in front of me at the Columbus Crew Games who I introduced to it 2 years ago. He's with AT&T. He's gotten promoted. But the beautiful thing is he's got underlings now, and he's getting his underlings in groups. So it's a unique model in that the organization um, grows itself, right?
Yeah,
People are out there and they're talking it up, and that's how we grow.
I love that. So all these different, how many different chapters are there?
It's somewhere between 140 and 150, and I balk at the number because some are in kind of what I'll call pre-planning phase, and I'm always the last to know. There might be, there's one that launched yesterday, right? There might be another one that launched today. So, but it's right around that range.
Okay, and they're located across the country?
Yeah, I mean we're not just in Ohio. We have a lot in
Okay.
Ohio, but we have a lot in Pittsburgh, Pensacola, Florida, a lot in Chicago, a lot in Phoenix, um, Massachusetts, Wisconsin. Yeah, so it's,
All
here and
over.
there. Yeah.
So over the 30 years, Frank, what would you say are some of the better lessons you've learned putting this all together? How does this frame out so somebody listening can learn from, okay, what did you do? What's a great lesson you've learned over 30 years?
Well, I think the big lesson that I've, really kind of leaned into in the last 10 years is that people come to this organization for referrals, and we need to do more than just hope they get referrals. We need to help them engage in the process, teach them how to have relationships, how to productive relationships. People need to, you need to be reliable. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but some people just, they don't. And then just how they talk about their business. You can't talk in just general terms about, well, I'm a property casualty insurance person. You need to talk about the different things that you do, and those are the things that stick in
Mm,
people's mind like Velcro. So that's the
okay.
big thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think when you're trying to grow and or scale a business, your client base is the one that's going to help you do that. So your service when you are helping people, I like the idea. You help them engage, you help them talk about their business better, so they can actually perform better within the networking group, right? So when you're doing that, is that a additional fee? How does that work?
No, it's all part of the same program, and people pay a one-time initiation fee to belong. Currently, it's 295. It'll probably go up at the end of 2025. We only raise dues every few years, so we're kind of at the end of a cycle. And then they pay a quarterly fee of $95 a quarter. Again, that'll probably go up at the end of the year. Um, and for that, they join. And I always tell people in the organization, whether you want to do it right or do it wrong, you're paying the same thing, right? So
Yeah,
I'm here to work with you. If you're ready to learn, I'm ready to learn. It's probably no different than you with action. Hey, here's the fee. If you want to really lean into working with me, great. If you
yeah.
don't, that's okay too. But here's the fee. Um,
Good point. I think there's a lot more responsibility and accountability on your clientele to do what they want to do, right?
yeah,
So if I'm going to be spending 295 plus another $400, I better be engaged in this program. Otherwise, why did I take that money out of my account to do this? I want this to be successful. So I'm the one that has to own that relationship or own that responsibility for myself, right?
yeah, yeah. Most people do. We still run into people who don't. You're in business. You've seen it, right? Um,
Interesting, right? I find it compelling that there's help available and people don't want to take it for whatever reason. And it's mainly because their ego gets in the way and they say, "Oh, I don't need help."
yeah.
Right. So what's your experience along those lines? Like how do people come to you? How do they find out where you are? Is it because somebody within the group brought them there, or is it online? Where are people finding you?
Um, I would say 95% of it is people in the organization talking it up.
Okay.
And we get a fair amount of growth through that. There are certainly people out there posting. I was at a meeting up in your neck of the woods, up in Westlake, and there were two people who showed up, and I asked them, "How did you hear about this?" And they said, "We saw something on Eventbrite." So somebody threw something up. It wasn't me that did it. It was one of the members that threw something up on Eventbrite. And
Okay.
it's a beautiful thing. So
I love that because that means the people who are engaged want this to be successful. So they're trying to find more people that they can network with because they believe not only in the process, but they believe in what they're doing and they want to be engaged. I think that's great because
Yeah.
that's, again, your customers are selling everything for you. So as you put this thing together, what are challenges that you think you've faced and overcome that someone in the audience would be like, "Yep, that guy's been there, done that. I want to learn that, or I want to follow through on what he's done." What's some of the bigger challenges you face?
Well, I mean, I think it gets back to referrals and how people message about referrals. Um,
Okay.
let's pick on realtors, just as an example, right? And this applies to attorneys, it applies to insurance agent, applies to anything. But a realtor gets up, goes to the office, and does real estate stuff all day long with other realtors. They're a seller's agent. They're dealing with a buyer's agent. They're talking real estate, they're talking English, but it's a real estate
Hmm.
dialect. And so they'll start to throw around terms like FISBOs and short sales and, blah, 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 hard money, blah, all sorts of jargon. Um, and they think about what they do 16 hours a day. And you and I don't think about real estate at all unless we're looking to buy a house or sell a house.
Yeah,
We
good point.
don't. And so to get people to understand that not everybody understands what you're talking about, you need to dumb it down, right? Use metaphors, talk in simple language. Don't assume that somebody understands. You are better off to offend somebody because you are. I shouldn't say offend somebody, but you're better off on to err on the side um, of over explaining or oversimplifying than just assuming that people know what it
Yeah.
is.
Well, you
And
made the comment before. Part of the process that you guys have is explaining to people how to talk about their business better than what they've been doing for however long. To your point, I think people get lost in the forest versus the trees mentality of, well, this is just what I know. So I talk about it like this all the time.
yeah,
But the people I'm trying to get to help me don't know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
I would agree with that. Okay.
yeah. Part of the problem, Scott, is that when people get into a networking setting, whether it's in our organization or just at a chamber function or probably BNI, well, certainly BNI because I've talked to people there, is that when people have an opportunity to ask what's a good referral for them, they're almost like, okay, this is my one and only opportunity, so I'm going to spit up on people with everything I do. And in an effort to try and say everything, they end up saying something that's akin to nothing, meaning
Yeah.
it's so vague. And so what we try to educate people on is you know what, you're not going to get referrals in that first meeting anyway. It's going to take subsequent encounters for you to
Mhm.
really, so go ahead and have a quick little vague conversation or way of talking about your business, but eventually you've got to really kind of dig in and stop talking about what you do and start talking about when you do it. So again, the realtor, what they do is help people buy and sell property. Easy, right? They could say it 16 different ways and it still says the same thing. And it goes in one ear and out the other. It's like Teflon. It just slides off people's heads. But what we teach is rather than talking about what you do, talk about when you do it. So if the realtor says, if you know of somebody in your neighborhood, an elderly couple, and there's a 2 or 3 story house, those stairs are getting to them. It's just a fact of life. Gravity takes us all down eventually, right?
It is undefeated, right?
It is
Gravity
undefeated.
is undefeated.
Yeah. And so you know that those people are probably ripe to sell their house, thinking about it, right? Or somebody with a big yard, somebody whose kids are up grown and they want to downsize. And that gets people thinking a different way. And, again, with realtors, there's probably 30, 40 different scenarios. Every time you're selling a house or buying a house, helping somebody sell a house or buy a house, there's a different reason, right? Hey, we're buying this house because we want to have a mother-in-law suite. We're buying this house because we don't want to have mom move in, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always, we're moving out of a high tax district. We're doing this, we want rural property. And so there's all sorts, and those are all the little stories that people can share that help seed people's minds as to, okay, that's
Yeah.
that's when you do it.
It's almost like the why behind the action, not necessarily the action so much,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Because if you're talking about, I help you buy houses, great. I don't need to buy a house right now. But if you explain to me different scenarios where you're very helpful, okay, there is a couple in my neighborhood that's getting older. Maybe I should go talk to, or at least introduce you to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Okay. So as we think about your business and as you scaled it, what were some of the things that you really wanted to do in order to scale it, and how did that come to be without complication? And I know there was complication, so I'm setting you up to tell me what was it like to scale your business over multiple states?
Well, you always think it's easier to sell than it's going to be.
Yeah,
When I ran the business, when I was in operating the business, um, it scaling and actually we sell franchises. Selling franchises is a whole different animal.
yeah,
Um, and realizing that not everybody is interested in kind of managing these things, right? The metaphor I use is that most people like to rent an apartment. They don't want to own the building. There are very few people who really want to own the building. And so our
yeah.
franchisees are people who see the bigger picture and say, I need to be networking anyway. I need to have a place to live, but it would be great if all the other people living around me were paying me rent, or paying membership dues. And those are the people who take on a franchise opportunity. Finding those people can be difficult.
Okay. So how do you find those people?
Well, certainly word of mouth, letting people know that it's out there. Referrals from other uh, our franchisees referring other people.
Yeah.
So somebody in one state will say, "Hey, you should look at this." Um, so there's lots of different things that I've tried over the years, and everything's had a degree of success, Scott. Um, but sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's that small window where you just hit it at the right time and it worked,
Yep.
and you think, okay, this is it, and it never happens again. Um, but as time has gone on, I always tell people the hardest franchise you will ever sell is the first, right? Because there's
Okay.
no track record, right? And once you've sold the first, then it was for me the first was it was hard. It took me 2 years. The second was a little easier, right? Hey, I got a guy. Okay,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm in the 20s and it's like, okay, you know what? There's people and they're operating, and so you can go talk to other franchisees and it's like, all right, this is not smoke and mirrors. This is or snake oil salesman. This
Yeah.
is legit, and these people are doing well. That's when people will step forward and say, okay, um,
The
I
franchises are different, right? Because everybody thinks it's a turnkey. Everybody thinks, okay, I bought this, all of a sudden I'm just going to be successful. There's a lot of work that goes into it, right?
Yeah, there's well anything of substance is going to take work.
True.
So
That's a good point. So now that you're in these different states, you've got everything cranking. Are you at the stage in your life or a stage in the career that everybody else is running the business for you and you kind of have your standalone? Or how would you better describe your level of interaction and engagement with the business right now?
um, I don't do well. I do very little administrative stuff, very
Okay.
little. Um, we use a lot of technology. We're always looking. Okay, how can we
Mhm.
harness technology? I have an assistant that's very helpful, and I mean, again, we're always looking at okay, somebody pays dues, we shouldn't it just should appear on QuickBooks, right? We can automate all of this. And so we're continually working down, you know in the last since COVID, we've more than doubled in size. We've
Wow.
and so we've done really well. um, but I haven't had to hire anybody because we take advantage of technology, and let
That's good.
it
I
is
mean,
so.
you talk about an ability to scale a business without actually having to hire people. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So
uh,
your ability to take advantage of technology is helpful. I'm assuming the systems and the processes in place make it really easy to do, right?
yeah. Yeah.
So if you're thinking about the people that are going to come behind you, the lessons that people should learn is how do I best build a process? How do I best build a team around that process? And then how do I engage with continual learning and technology? That's how your business runs without you being there, right?
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
assume now that you've been doing this for 30 years and now you're looking at the business from a different perspective, isn't it great to have a business that you know is a commercial, profitable enterprise that doesn't need you to be there every day?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I mean it's to a point now where I can literally every month we close the books and settle up and all that stuff and just make sure all the numbers tie out. I can do that anywhere. I can do it from McDonald's in Nome, Alaska, right? I mean, I don't know if anywhere there's Wi-Fi, I can do it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not tethered here. And it wasn't always like that. I think the best, I mean, it's easy to say, okay, you know, harness technology, delegate. What I have found through the years is to be some of the best teachers, and some of the is having to roll up my sleeves and do some of these things and realize, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Because
Hmm.
sometimes you'll have an employee who will just, okay, I'm doing this, and they're saying it doesn't make any sense, but I'm getting paid, and somebody who's thinking bigger than me understands that why this is here, and then there was a short window where I didn't have an assistant, and I was doing everything. It was horrible, Scott. It was horrible. But I started to realize first how much I needed that person, but secondly, it's like, why are we doing this?
Hmm.
Yeah, why are we doing this? Doesn't make any sense. Can we find a piece of technology that you know we were uploading files to the website? It was a 10-minute process every couple hours. It's like, why are we doing this? It was easy to screw up, and then you would spend 30 minutes trying to fix the macro. There's got to be a way just to kind of push this stuff up there. We're in the 21st century. Sure enough, took a little bit of looking, but we found it, and um, so that just allows you to it allows you to save time. It allows you to cut costs. Um, yeah,
I think it's important for people to realize it's not necessarily working so hard that's going to make you successful. It's working smart. I had a conversation with somebody earlier today about the difference between an hourly employee versus somebody that's being paid for performance, right? Would it bother you as a business owner that somebody got something done in 6 hours as opposed to the 8 hours you thought you were paying them? You're going to pay them to perform. Why not just pay them to perform?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I'm a big advocate of changing away from an hourly wage and go more towards, did you perform? Did you get the job done I needed done today? I'll give you your daily wage. And you
yeah,
can go home if you want to. Now, the one caveat to that is you cannot sacrifice customer service, you cannot sacrifice quality. But if you can perform and get things done quicker, by all means, go ahead and take the time and go home.
yeah,
Get a really nice work-life balance. Because granted, there's certain jobs you have to be there to cover, but when you're looking at how to better a business, what better way can you think of, Frank, to have a motivated team that knows if I do well, I can pretty much be in control of my own destiny.
yeah,
That's a great business to have, right? It's a
yeah.
really good way of doing it. Just something to think about for those people out there. I'd like to see us get away from hourly wages. It's a pet peeve of mine. I just think it's worthwhile. I have a question for you, and we're almost to the end here. If I were to send you back in a time machine and you would sit down next to an 18-year-old Frank, what would that conversation be like?
It would be about getting networked earlier. Um,
Nice.
I went to college. I went to college to play football. It's the only reason I went to college. I'm not that big. It was a small college football. Um, I hung out with the football players and didn't really get to know other people on campus, and that was a big mistake. Not a horrific mistake, but over the years, I've run into people that I should have known on campus. There's a guy here in Columbus that's, he we the college is in Wisconsin, so the fact that we're both here and essentially he graduated a year behind me. Just what a neat guy. I wish I would have known him more when I was on campus. And I'm sure there are other people where it's like, you know what, that would have really helped me
Mhm.
have a better network coming out of there. And my kids didn't make that mistake. They came out of college with a very diverse network, and I think it's going to serve them much better.
Absolutely. It's what's the old adage? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah,
And I'll take it a step further. It's who knows you,
yeah,
right? So you can
yeah,
know a bunch of people, but if they don't reach out to you or they don't know you well enough, they're gonna pass you right by.
yeah.
Have to ask, what school did you go to in Wisconsin?
Beloit College, it's a little liberal arts college
Okay.
on the
And what
it's on
position did you play?
I was a defensive lineman. I was way too small. I played. I got to play. I played a lot. But looking back and looking at pictures, it's just like imagine the feeling that a bullet goes whizzing by your head, and it's like, oh my God, I was so lucky. I look at those pictures, Scott, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get killed. Um, so anyhow, it was
And
fun. It was a great experience.
okay, I appreciate that. There's some people that play that game that are much bigger than me,
Yeah.
much bigger than me.
Yep.
Any last thoughts before we close out?
Um, Yeah, no, I mean, I think what people, just a general thought on networking, you know, the trite comment, which is very true, is that your network is your net worth. Get out there and meet people. Um, People are always asking, well, what's the one thing I can do today to get networked? I always say find something you're passionate about and go volunteer. Maybe it's a chamber, maybe it's homeless initiatives, or you know,
Yeah,
go and
get connected to people beyond your current scope. I think that's part of
yeah.
growth.
Yeah, it's fun. You don't have to sell. Just go there and network, and they'll figure out what you're all about.
Yeah, be honest, be authentic, because I think when we get into a networking mode, people fail to recognize that you're trying to build relationships based on know, like, and trust. And
Yeah,
when you are inauthentic, you're not going to serve yourself very well. So
yeah.
good stuff. Well, Frank, I want to thank you for being on the program. This was great. A lot of insight, and I'm looking forward to seeing just how many more chapters come across the country for you. This has been a really cool conversation, so I appreciate it.
All
Thanks
right,
so
thank
much.
you. Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.